Okay, good afternoon. Um, Today I'm going to talk about how rewards and punishments can bother us later on after we've been rewarded and punished with problems, mental problems or psychological problems, whatever you call them, emotional problems, maybe that's what they are. They may not be very serious, but they can have very serious results sometimes. And other times it's just a bother to have these problems. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're huge, and they just ruin a person's life because they have to deal with this they basically are not really living a happy life, possibly for many years due to these problems. Anyway, I'll start out with addiction. Uh, a person could have an addiction, let's say, to alcohol. And first of all, if it's not a very big addiction and they just get drunk a little bit, they could say to themselves, "This what he is not a reward." That might help. They might think of it as a reward, and that is what I think makes it more addictive. Um, Another thing they can do is try to figure out where it came from. Like when they were younger in their past memory, can they remember a time when they were rewarded with candy? Now the candy is sweet and liquor is sweet, so they might connect the two. And that might be the reason. So they can think back, was I ever? And maybe they were rewarded a lot like that for doing what they were supposed to do. And I believe that would be the reason why they are addicted in the present time to drinking. And then once they figure out that that did happen to them, they could write a letter to the person who was rewarding them and tell them what they think. Like, that was not a very good idea for you to do that because look at what the problems I have now because of that. I believe it's because of that. And you should not have given me those sweet rewards or whatever the situation may be. Write a letter to that person. Do not send it, of course. This is for your own purposes that you're writing the letter, and in the process, you may become more able to meditate. As you're writing the letter, you may get into a meditational state in which you start analyzing your past, and you might even get into a hypnotic state. That might not be so good because you don't want to have hypnotic states taking over your life without your permission. It's very connected with your permission. But you may analyze, and in the process of analyzing uh, what happened, you may get new memories that you had forgotten about because you put them, you didn't want to remember them because they were very bad memories. These memories might come back as you are writing this letter, and there may be other people involved in these other memories, and you should write to them also. And in that process, maybe more memories will come back, depending upon how bad the situation is. But each time you are analyzing this and you are expressing yourself by writing these letters about what you really think about the situation, how terribly it has affected you. And in the process, you will feel freer, you will be cured. Now, at times, people have had such terrible memories, that's why they don't remember them, because they don't want to remember them. But when this starts coming back, it can all come at once. So you might want to have somebody there at the telephone that you could talk to if it gets to be too much and it's just so horrible. These memories, it's a painful process, shall we say, because these memories are so horrible sometimes. That's why you repress them. So when they come back, and it might be just, you feel like it's just too much, there's so much of these and they're all coming back at once. So you might call this friend of yours, talk to them, or you might have a counselor who you ask him to be waiting. You're going to be doing this today, so could he be on call, please? Because in case it gets to be too much for you, you might want to have somebody to back you up and have somebody to talk to about this. And so I'll write read this. It could be, now when you start thinking about your particular addiction, you might say this is not a reward, this is just a gift to myself. It's better not to think of it as a reward. So let's say you're having a drink. I'll have this drink and it's not a reward. I'm giving myself a gift. It's not good for me because I have drunk too much, but it's not a reward. And this could help you not to be so addicted. In taken in reasonable amounts, it would be a gift. You could also go back to instances where you've been rewarded and write letters to those responsible for them, explaining to them why it was a mistake to reward you, since now you're suffering from addiction. But if it is clearly an extrinsic reward, uh, let's say you are addicted to honors. You love to have people call your name and say that you are the greatest or whatever, to flattery. Maybe you're addicted to flattery. Well, you could control that. That is a reward. That is not a gift. And so you could try to refuse it. So if somebody told you ahead of time you're going to be honored at such and such a thing, you could say, thank you, but I'm not going to be going. Thank you anyway, but no thank you. In the process of writing, the person may get into a meditational or even hypnotic state where he would remember in detail other events related to his particular type of addiction. Of course, he would not send these letters anywhere. It would probably be necessary to have help from a facility to get over any physical addiction, such as an addiction to drugs. You get physically addicted, and that you need medical help for. Okay, in regard to bipolar disease, we can easily see how an authority's vacillation between extreme rewards and extreme punishments might affect the emotions of the recipient, causing him extreme mood swings. So let's say somebody rewarded you very often and back and forth, rewarded punishment. This could cause you later on to have this problem of manic depression. You're very happy, then you're very sad. So what you could try doing in a case like this of bad mood, if you get into a bad mood, you could think, now why am I in a bad mood? Maybe you lost your job. Okay, 2 weeks ago I lost my job and I've been depressed ever since. That must be the reason, because I took it as a punishment. The guy fired me, and maybe it was a punishment, or maybe it was necessary because of something I did, which was so dangerous, or something like that. You could write a letter telling that boss exactly what you think. Like, I think you should not have fired me because now you put me into this terrible state of I am now depressed officially or whatever, and you shouldn't have fired me because whatever, because this, and just tell him off. Tell him whatever you really think he did wrong. You were all to blame for this, and then you blame me and you fire me and ruin my life and whatever. So you write that letter, and in the process, again, you start getting into a meditational state, you start looking at it more objectively. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I was a little dangerous with that one client. I almost killed him. Maybe that's why he fired me. Or you start looking at it from the point of view of your boss and you start seeing things more objectively. That's one of the results of writing a letter to them. Another result could be you get into, as I say, a meditational state, and that brings back all these other memories which would have happened earlier in your life. And that's why you are so very depressed now. It's not just this one thing that happened, but what happened when you were younger and how they mistreated you. You had forgotten all about that because you couldn't function at the time by remembering it. So you got rid of those thoughts. They were not positive thoughts. You wanted to think positive thoughts, but now you have to deal with it. At some point, if you live long enough, you're going to start having these memories come back. Your brain just can't hang on to so many bad memories, maybe. And so now you start writing letters to those other people in the past who did terrible things to you. In fact, you don't even like remembering it. It's very painful, but that's how you become free of it. And then you do feel good once you go through this work, and it is hard work and unpleasant. It's like tearing away all this garbage. Unpleasant work, but you got to go through all that garbage, get it all cleaned up. And there's so much of it. If you have a lot of baggage, there's a lot of garbage, and you got to go through it all. It's no fun facing all that stuff. That's why you forgot it. You repressed it in the first place. But that's what you do in order to feel better. But you look for, when you're analyzing, you look for rewards and punishments. Who rewarded me back there? Who punished me? Why did this happen? Analyze whatever happened. Each case would be different, and you would be the expert on your own life. You have the best understanding of it, of anyone. Okay. The process of writing the letter, the person may get into a meditational state where he may come upon significant memories which show the deeper reasons, that's what I have written here, rewards and punishments, which led to his manic depression. He could write to each person who contributed to his problem and tell him about what was wrong with what he did, but he has to make sure he has time to do this. This should be on a day off, not when he's trying to go to work, because you can't just do this quickly. You may find more and more memories, and that's going to keep you at home. And you also should have somebody on the side in case there's so much that you can't quite handle it or something. It might be too much for you. So have a counselor or a good friend who can handle stuff like that. Have them on the side to back you up in case of overload coming all at once, all these memories coming all at once and hitting you right between the eyes. And it's a horrible, you have to relive the whole experience each time emotionally. You're going through that pain again. Very painful and very ugly memories. But you got to face them in order to get cured of this. And you'll be happy if you get through all of them. But there are so many, it's like cleaning up a house. Yeah, you're happy to have it halfway clean, but you got to get it all clean in order to really feel good. Got to get it all clean. You may have to do this several days over a period of maybe a year or more. Every once in a while, you take a day off and say, this seems to be coming back all the time. So let's handle some of it today. Let's go back into my memory and start writing those letters and meditating when you have time. Okay, thank you for listening, and goodbye.